this is Isis. She's been with me since March. She's been down to Heather Moffat's and for a couple of days with me in April when I was doing my teacher training. She had some time off through end of April and May. She had a bit of mastitis and consequently a bit of a hormone imbalance. So we levelled her out with some Agnus castus and she's back in work now. Now, before I go into the session, let's have no hate on the pelham. Isis struggles a little bit with longitudinal suppleness. Although she's a right chunk, she's not strong. So in order just to help her and to keep myself light, she's in a little pelham, just so that I can take the pressure off the bars of her mouth and off of her tongue and offer her something a little different. So a little bit of pole pressure and a little bit of pressure under the chin groove. So it's all designed to help her, not to make my job easier. I can ride her in a hanging cheek and she's fine. But this is just to help. Now, what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you my normal warm-up. I've been on her for about 5 minutes, just walking her around and getting her used to this again because she's not been in it since April. I've taken the noseband off because the noseband has quite a thick bridge over the nose, which when you have with a pelham, it can cause a little bit of pressure. So I've taken the noseband off completely because it just saves there being anything uncomfortable at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by warming her up with some lateral work. So we're going to slow the walk. Good girl. Again, I'm just moving my fingers ever so gently. And now, when her inside hind leg comes forward, I'm going to ask her to step over. Good girl. So I'm using that aid with the swing of the belly. Good girl. Whoop, a little bit too much bend. That was actually my error. Good girl. So we're going to do this once on each rein. I'm not going to labour the point today. I probably would do it more if this was purely a schooling session, but for illustrative purposes, I just want to show you what I would normally do. Now to turn her, I'm putting my weight on my right seat bone and asking her with my left leg. So now raise my inside hand slightly to ask for the bend. That's it. And using my leg now, 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 steady, now, now, now. Good girl. Now when she gets a little bit too much bend in the neck and starts to fall out through that shoulder, which I don't want at this point, I just open the hand a little bit and put a little bit of left leg on, right on the girth, just to steady her a little bit. So I'm just going to make a change of rein a moment. I'm going to ask her by turning her shoulders. Again, weight in my right seat bone and turning her shoulders. Good girl. Weight in my right seat bone, little bit of left leg. I didn't ask her to do it too acutely. I just wanted her to turn around. Good girl. But I'm liking this bit. I'm having to do hardly anything with my hands. She's a little bit cross from the flies, although she's covered top to toe in power phaser and naff off. But considering how bad they are today, I'm pleased. So I'm just going to turn her again, weight in my left seat bone, a little bit of right leg. Now we're going to leg yield right, so lift my left hand and use my left leg now, 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 now. So what you're actually doing is you're using your inside leg, if you're leg yielding inside to outside, when that inside hind comes forward, because when that leg is off the ground, it's when you can influence where it goes, and that's the leg that you want to lead the leg yield. So now, now, steady. Now, now. That's the leg you want to cross first. Good girl. What a good girl. Now I'm going to make another change of rein. I'm going to start to make this turn on the haunches smaller and smaller as the session progresses. Good girl. What a good lady. Just going to let her stretch for a second. I'm going to short circle her because now we're going to go to a little bit of shoulder in. Good girl. Oh, I know, there's flies, I know. Now lateral work is this mare's real strength. she finds, as I said, that she finds the longitudinal suppleness a little difficult, although, to be honest, she's beautifully soft in this bit, so I'm actually talking rubbish. But laterally, she's always been just fantastic. She has a real aptitude for it. But it does mean that sometimes in the canter, she comes a little crooked because she's very bendy through the body. Now, just going to steady the walk as we come up to prepare the shoulder in. We're not going to run into it, so we're going to steady it just by squeezing my seat and a little bit of thigh. Good girl. Now I'm going to turn my hips this way. And what that does, as you see, look, just by turning my hip, she will turn. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to turn my hip to ask her to come off of the track, and then I'm going to be using my right leg as that inside hind comes forward, because I want that leg to step forward and through, not to follow the shoulder. So I'm turning my hip and asking her now, 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 good girl, now, steady. Inside hand raised slightly, now, 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 good girl. And just let her stretch a sec. Well done, Baba. I'm going to make a change of rein again. Yeah, good, steady. I'm just going to give her a little trot just to freshen her up before we do the shoulder in the other way. Again, if I was doing a normal schooling session, I would do this a couple of times, or I would be, steady, or I would do some travers, some shoulder in, a little bit of leg yield, then some travers, just to get her supple, steady. Just opening and closing my fingers, and walk, walk. Just having a little bit of trot in there, even though she came up, that's fine. Just helps her stay forward thinking, mixes it up. And if I just carry on walking around, her brain could switch off, and I don't want that. So we're going to do exactly the same thing on this rein. I'm going to turn my hips to the left. Now that will naturally let my outside leg come backwards and put my inside leg on the girth where I want it to be. Now I'm not the straightest rider in the world, and this side is more difficult for me. As you can see, it's not the mare's fault, although this is her weaker rein too. Good girl. And what I'm actually having to do with my hands is very minimal. All I'm having to do is literally open and close the fingers to keep the softness, to get the inside bend. I'm simply raising my hand slightly, so there's no backwards, there's no pulling. I'm just asking her to stay soft. So I'm going to repeat that on this rein because I was a bit crap that last time. So turn my hips and forward. So I'm using my inside leg now, 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 now. Still moving my fingers. Inside leg, now, now. Good girl. What a good girl you are. That's it. I'm going to ask for a little bit of travers coming up this other side. Now, exactly the same thing. I want my outside leg to come backwards. So I'm going to turn my hip. Good girl. When you put your body in the right place, it just helps them do it. Now, I'm keeping my, steady. Come over, come over. I'm keeping my inside leg on her to ask her not to leg yield away. Good girl. Good girl. I know you find that hard. Well done. So again, I'm asking for a little bit of flexion by lifting my inside hand. My inside leg I'm using so that she doesn't simply leg yield away from my outside leg. So I'm literally going inside, outside, steady. Steady. She does find this hard. This is your precursor to your half pass. Good girl. That's it, and take a break. Good girl. Right, I'm going to ask her to turn, do what she finds really easy. Weight onto my left seat bone. Bit of right leg. Turn. Good girl. As you can see, there's no hauling or pulling. I'm just letting my physiology and her physiology kind of work together. She understands, you know, she's not having to learn a complex set of aids. She's just learning to follow my weight, that's it. And all my hands are doing is making sure that when she follows my weight, I just have some softness in that jaw. Because if you don't have softness in that jaw, you've got absolutely nothing. And you might be able to get around a prelim test or an intro test, but it's impossible to progress any further. So the same thing on this range. She finds travers this way more difficult, raising my inside hand, inside, outside, inside, outside. This is what I'm doing with my legs. Outside, inside, outside. Hey, hey, hey. Oh, well, it wasn't the finest. Good girl. Doesn't matter, just ask for a little bit. Even if you just get a half step through. You know, she's a compact little body. It's quite difficult. It's not the easiest thing for her, so I'm just going to go again. Raise my inside hand. Good girl. It's okay. Oh, that's better. Just putting a little bit more. There we are. We lost the bend through the body then. And what you'll do by doing these exercises, you might find it's a bit steady, a bit kick and pull to start with, in which case work them in hand first. Good girl. As you see, the travers becomes steady. Good girl. A couple of steps a half pass. So if you want to test the aids for your travers, take them down the centre line and ask for travers, and you should get, you may not get a full side, but just a couple of steps of half pass to start is enough. I'm going to raise my inside hand to ask for that bend. That's enough. A good girl. Good lady. Okay, well, what I actually wanted to show today was a little bit of her canter. Now, Isis is a very typically built thoroughbred, although she's a lot bigger than a lot of thoroughbreds. She's a little bit croup high. So that means when you canter, you kind of get that bouncing bum. Now, it is difficult to sit into. If you're sat on a nice PRE or sat on a nice warm blood, they tend to travel like this. It's very easy to sit into something that's built naturally uphill. When you get on a little rocket like this with a bit of a bouncing bum, it can be a lot more difficult to sit correctly. I find it more difficult. I think the majority of riders would find it more difficult. So what you'll end up getting is typical kind of rider asymmetries in the canter. I don't want to demonstrate them on her because she's not established enough to do that. But what you will get is, firstly, you get the rowing shoulders. Now, I am guilty of having the rowing shoulders. And where that comes from, basically, is a lack of suppleness through the hip and a lack of suppleness through the lower back. Or maybe not a lack of suppleness. I'm very bendy, but sometimes it's being able to coordinate the movement, especially in the canter. The canter's an asymmetric movement. So if you move symmetrically or you move as if it's a two-beat movement, then that asymmetry will come out somewhere else in your body, either by that rocking shoulder, or you might get this good old swinging lower leg. Good girl, you're very good. Or my favourite is the driving canter seat, where the rider sits back to compensate for the fact that they don't have the suppleness in the hip. And then you see it in the walk as well. When you get, I'm sorry, Isis, you get this? Isn't that lovely? And can you imagine if you actually tried to walk up the street, moving your hips like this? It's so completely unnatural. So what you want to be doing is imagining that you're skipping on board. Practice it in your arena. Skip around on the left rein or canter around, sorry, canter on the left rein on your own legs, canter on the right rein, and then feel what your body does. Feel the little circles that your hips make, and then you need to mimic that when you're on board. Now, I'm going to try and show it as best I can on ISIS. Actually, I will show the shoulder roll because naturally that's what my body wants to do. So it's not going to be difficult for me to do that, but I'm not going to show a driving seat. She's quite on the forehand in her canter, so I should be able to demonstrate it easily. Good girl, steady, steady, wait. I'm just going to come off her back a sec because she's just come a little bit deeper than I want. Okay, right, here we go, rocking shoulders. Nice, eh? Look how she's responding. She's cross. Now, even when I try and sit properly on her, steady. Wait, she's a little strong. So I'm sitting back, I'm anchoring my shoulders, and I'm moving steady. It's not easy. Way steady on her today. So I'm trying to take, although she's fighting me in the hand, I'm trying to take the canter through my lower back. It'd be much easier if I demonstrated this on Dave. So there's still some movement in my shoulder. Whoa. Whoa. And walk a minute. I know, that was terribly exciting. I know, we've not done a massive amount of canter on Isis, so that was a little unfair with her. And I'll show you on the left rein. We'll all find one rein easier than the other. For me, I find left easier. Good girl. Although Isis finds a left strike off more difficult, so we may not nail this first time. Steady, bub. Okay, it took a couple of goes to get my left canter. And she got a little bit on the forehand. But to bring her up, I'm pulsing the rein a little bit and squeezing through my thigh and seat. Because I can now, because I'm actually sat on my bum and I have a lot more movement in my lower back than I had a couple of months ago. Steady, it's far from perfect. Steady, and whoa, whoa, over please, and walk. It's far from perfect, me and her, but learning to ride and improving your riding, it's not about getting perfection straight away. It's about being able to notice small improvements in yourself and in your horse. And being able to notice when sometimes those small improvements may cause a little bit of kind of asymmetry elsewhere. You might find that you become more supple through the hip, but then you may feel that your leg swings a little bit, or you may feel that maybe your shoulders are doing something different. You're not going to nail it immediately. But by softening those hips, that is first and foremost, just like softening the jaw in the horse. Without that, you kind of got nothing, and you're just batting on the steady, on the proverbial sticky wicket, straight away. Steady, steady. Good girl. I'm just going to go back to now what she finds easy. Canter is still a little bit exciting for her. So we're just going to do a couple of steps of travers. Good girl. Straighten her up. A couple of steps of shoulder in. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey. That's it. Good girl. And to make the change of rein, I'm now going to just try and ask for almost a pirouetting walk so we can take it right down. Wait and, hey. Steady, I'll just walk her on. Good girl. Weight into my right seat bone. It's not perfect, but for a 4-year-old little mare, I'm very pleased. We're just going to repeat the exercise the same way. Good girl. Come on. We've got a little bit of drift, but we've done worse. We can do shoulder in from here. We're on 4 tracks, but never mind. She's offering what I've asked for. Good girl. And then we're going to turn one last time this way. What a good lady. And let her have her head and neck. I love this little horse. She's going to be up for sale soon. She needs a sympathetic rider. You know, she's far from a monkey's ride. Ooh. But for someone that's got a bit of tact, a bit of time, and a bit of knowledge, this mare's going to go a real long way. Good girl.